Onions. They are in our salads, our soups, and our favorite stir-fry dishes. These round, layered vegetables are a staple in kitchens all around the world. They add a zesty, savory flavor that makes food taste amazing. But they have a secret weapon, a chemical defense that they unleash the moment we slice into them. It's a crime that happens in kitchens every day. The onion makes you cry. It's not because you're sad, and it's not because the onion is trying to be mean. It's all because of some really cool, really fast chemistry. So let's peel back the layers on this mystery and figure out what's really going on. Consider the science. Inside every single onion is a miniature chemical factory just waiting for the right moment to start production. Onions are part of the allium family, which also includes garlic and shallots. These plants are experts at absorbing sulfur from the soil they grow in. They pull it up through their roots and store it inside their cells in the form of special sulfur-rich compounds. Think of these compounds as the ingredients for our teary recipe. In separate compartments within the same cells, the onion also stores special proteins called enzymes. One of these enzymes, called alliinase, is like the key that starts the whole chemical reaction. For now, they are kept apart, waiting patiently. When an onion is whole and uncut, everything is peaceful. The sulfur compounds are in one part of the cell, and the alliinase enzyme is in another. They are like neighbors who haven't been introduced yet. But the moment you take a knife and dice or chop that onion, you are breaking open thousands of tiny onion cells. This is cellular destruction on a massive scale. When the cell walls are ruptured, the contents all spill out and mix together. The sulfur compounds finally meet the alliinase enzyme, and a powerful chemical chain reaction begins. It happens almost instantly, creating a new volatile substance that is designed to protect the onion from being eaten. This defense mechanism is brilliant when you think about it from the onion's perspective. If a hungry bug or animal tried to take a bite, this chemical burst would irritate its mouth and eyes, hopefully scaring it away. The onion is just trying to survive. But for us, humans who just want to make a delicious French onion soup, this chemical defense becomes a bit of an inconvenience. The gas it produces is specifically designed to find the nearest source of water, and that often happens to be our eyes. This is where the real drama begins, as our bodies react to this invisible chemical attacker in a very specific, very watery way. So, you've cut the onion and the chemicals are mixing. Let's get specific. The main sulfur compound we start with is called 1-propanethial L-cysteine sulfoxide. That's a mouthful, I know. Let's just call it the precursor. When the alliinase enzyme meets this precursor, it acts like a pair of chemical scissors, cutting it into smaller, unstable molecules. This first step is incredibly fast. This creates a new intermediate chemical that is not very happy with its current state. It wants to change into something more stable, and it does so by rearranging its atoms. This rearrangement creates our main culprit, the chemical troublemaker we need to know about. This new molecule is called propanethial S-oxide. It's a tiny, lightweight compound, which means it can easily float up from the cutting board and into the air. This is what we call a volatile gas. This gas is the onion's tear gas, also known as a lacrimatory factor. The word lacrimatory comes from the Latin word for tear, lacrima, so it is literally a tear-making factor. This gas drifts through the kitchen, carried on air currents, on a mission to find moisture. It's an invisible cloud of irritants, and its primary target is the closest, wettest surface it can find. And that, my friends, is usually the surface of your eyeballs. Our eyes are covered in a thin layer of water called the tear film, which keeps them moist and protected. When the propanethial S-oxide gas reaches your eyes, it dissolves in this water. Once dissolved, it undergoes one final chemical transformation. It reacts with the water to form a very small amount of sulfuric acid. Yes, sulfuric acid. Now don't panic. It's an incredibly mild and diluted amount, not nearly enough to cause any real harm, but it is just enough to irritate the sensitive nerves on the surface of your cornea. Your eyes immediately detect this stinging sensation as a foreign invader. Your brain gets the signal, irritant detected. We need to wash it out, now. In response, your lacrimal glands, which are your tear glands located just above your eyes, spring into action. They start producing a flood of tears to dilute the acid and flush the irritant away. These are called reflex tears, and their only job is to protect your eyes. So when you're crying over an onion, you're not sad. Your body is just running a very effective, very impressive self-cleaning program. It's a beautiful example of biology and chemistry working together to keep you safe. Have you ever noticed that some onions make you cry a river, while others barely cause a sniffle? This isn't your imagination. The tear-jerking power of an onion is directly related to the amount of sulfur it contains. Onions grown in soil that is rich in sulfur will absorb more of it, creating a larger stockpile of those sulfur compounds. This means that when you cut into a high-sulfur onion, it releases a more potent cloud of propanethial S-oxide, leading to more tears. In contrast, onions grown in low-sulfur soil, like sweet Vidalia onions, are much milder. They simply don't have as much of the raw material needed to produce the tear gas. For decades, we thought the chemistry was a bit different. Scientists believed one enzyme was responsible for both the onion's pungent flavor and its tear-inducing effect. But in 2002, scientists in Japan made a breakthrough discovery. They identified a second, previously unknown enzyme, which they named lacrimetry factor synthase. They found that alliinase creates the flavor compounds, while this newly discovered synthase is what specifically produces the propanethial S-oxide gas. This discovery was huge. It meant that you could potentially have an onion with all its flavor but without the tears. It opened the door to a whole new world of onion innovation. Armed with this new knowledge, scientists got to work. They realized that if they could stop the lacrimetry factor synthase enzyme from working, they could create a tearless onion. Using biotechnology, they developed a way to turn off the gene responsible for producing this enzyme. The result was the sunyan, a commercially available tearless onion. It has all the normal sulfur compounds and the alliinase enzyme, so it still develops a great flavor. But without the synthase enzyme, it can't complete the final step to make the tear gas. It's a fantastic example of how understanding basic chemistry can solve an everyday problem. But what if you don't have a tearless onion? There are plenty of low-tech ways to avoid the tears. Chilling the onion in the refrigerator or freezer for about 30 minutes before cutting can help. Cold temperatures slow down the chemical reactions and make the gas less volatile, so less of it reaches your eyes. You can also increase ventilation by turning on a fan or opening a window to blow the gas away. Some people swear by cutting the onion under running water or fully submerged in a bowl of water, which traps the gas before it can escape. And for the truly committed, a pair of swimming goggles creates a physical barrier that works every time. The very same chemistry that brings tears to our eyes is also responsible for the onion's incredible flavor. When you cut an onion, the alliinase enzyme gets to work creating a variety of sulfur compounds. Some of these become the tear gas, but others are responsible for that sharp, pungent, and slightly spicy taste you get from a raw onion. These compounds are complex and reactive. They are the reason why an onion's flavor is so bold and distinct. So, in a way, the tears are a side effect of the very thing that makes onions so delicious in the first place. You can't have one without the other, unless you have a sunyan, of course. But something magical happens when you cook an onion. The heat from the pan causes these reactive sulfur compounds to break down and rearrange themselves yet again. This process, known as thermal decomposition, transforms the sharp, pungent molecules into simpler, sweeter-tasting ones. The intense heat breaks down the larger carbohydrate molecules in the onion into smaller, simpler sugars through a process called caramelization. This is why cooked onions taste so much sweeter and milder than raw onions. The fire of the stove tames the fire of the onion's chemistry, turning a tear-jerker into a sweet, savory delight. So the next time you're in the kitchen and an onion starts making you cry, don't get upset. Take a moment to appreciate the incredible science happening right there on your cutting board. You are witnessing a rapid-fire chemical reaction, a defense mechanism perfected over thousands of years of evolution. You are seeing how enzymes and substrates can interact to create entirely new molecules with powerful effects. It's a reminder that chemistry isn't just something that happens in a lab with beakers and test tubes. It's happening all around us, all the time, even in the most common of vegetables. From the sulfur in the soil to the tears in your eyes and the final delicious flavor in your meal, the journey of an onion is a story of chemistry. It's a tale of defense, transformation, and ultimately, culinary joy. It connects the earth beneath our feet to the food on our plates and the very biology of our bodies. Understanding the science behind why onions make us cry doesn't just make us smarter. It connects us more deeply to the world around us. So go ahead, chop that onion with confidence. Because now, you know what's going on. Science is everywhere.